Hey everyone, today we're joined by Thierry Boulanger, the creative director of Sea of Stars, which is only a few months out from its 2 year anniversary, has surpassed 6 million players, and probably the most exciting news is the new DLC, which I like to call free LC because it's free. It's called Throes of the Watchmaker. It's here and it's available as a free DLC for fans as a thank you. Hey Thierry, how are you, bud?
I'm good. It's good to see you. How have you been?
I've been great. It's been a little under 2 years since we had you on NVC and got to
Right.
talk about Sea of Stars right as it was launching. Very exciting time. How's everything been? The last 18 months of Sea of Stars.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride for sure. I mean, the reception was beyond what we anticipated, so that's always a great blessing. And we've just been blown away basically, and it meant that the response meant that we could keep working on the game. So we did a bunch of things. We wanted to re-edit some of the parts, some of the cutscenes. We work on the intro, add co-op mode, and all these things. And now we wanted to kind of bookend the whole thing. We wanted to make this free DLC, which we worked on for the last 18 months, roughly the entire team. And at first we shot for a short side quest, and we're now at between 8 to 10 hours based on playtests. So we're pretty happy. It's fairly chunky, so we're excited to see people diving in and see how they feel about it.
That's awesome. So now, before we jump in, for maybe some of our listeners and beyond that haven't played Sea of Stars, it's a turn-based RPG inspired by classic RPGs, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG. Also makes use of real-time elements for reducing and increasing damage, similar to maybe
Hmm.
Expedition 33 that's been all the
Oh,
rage lately. So, like, I know a lot
right.
of people are really in the mood for that style of RPG right now.
Hmm.
So, definitely one to keep an eye out for. Um, how fan reception has been obviously massive, 6 million players. Terry has
Yeah.
how has that the experience been for you and the team? Just like working on it, has it like fueled you guys to just like
Oh
go even
yeah.
harder?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and I think it validates, like, for us to be making retro games. There's an understanding that there's a cap on like the reach that could have, right? We don't make like sort of realistic looking, or like there's no like voice acting, all of the things that feel like a game is of a higher production value. For us, it's about that kind of simplicity and these sort of harsher limitations that let us sort of let emerge a type of experience that can only exist. It's the same with music as well. It's like, oh, you have a couple of channels, you don't have an entire orchestra, so you keep your ideas short. You should make sure you get a hook in that like loops and stuff like that. So we like working with these smaller sandboxes, and so seeing that the response was there is, well, that's what we shoot for. We aim to entertain, and so it's been a real pleasure to see.
Yeah, and I mean the cutscenes are gorgeous. I've only seen a couple of them so far in the Throes of
Mm.
Watchmaker DLC, but obviously there's a good amount of them in the base game as well, and they're just
Mhm.
gorgeous for this kind of retro throwback RPG. And so, like, just kudos to the team on that because you guys really
Mm.
just you understood the assignment when it comes to those. What are some of your other inspirations that kind of went into Sea of Stars and maybe also the Throws of the Watchmaker DLC? Was there anything that kind of like was a unique inspiration for Throws of the Watchmaker?
Mm. In terms of the inspiration, it was kind of a mix of if you look at Sea of Stars specifically, it was the story of it's two gifted children essentially who they're given a big responsibility that's bigger than them, and so they never fully develop their inner voice. And so that meant that they were a bit, it's part of their drama, if you will, right? They need to take this burden on, and so they don't really have a sense of who they are. And so in terms of the DLC, and that was left with, for some players, like, we wish we could have learned a bit more about them. So it kind of tied them really nicely with the or tied in, sorry, really nicely with the concept for the DLC, which is a journey within. So there's this magical clock, and there's a problem, so we need to get small and journey inside, which obviously is a metaphor for the journey within. And basically, we lose all of our powers because the gist of it is your connection with yourself and your self-knowledge is your power level in that world. So we have to revert back, and we're dressed up as clowns, and we kind of embrace this sort of like silly, or like, having to deal with like shame and stuff like that, and dark reflections of themselves are created, like their shadow selves sort of, and they'll need to contend with that. And so essentially it becomes this journey of first of all learning more about the two main protagonists, but also them gripping with more personal things within the grander arc of their responsibilities as the heroes. So it's a more personal. It's kind of like a therapy side quest or whatever.
Yeah, and I've reached that part where I'm a little bit past the part where you kind of you meet your
Mm,
twins kind of get created and such like that. How did you guys kind of settle on like the circus and kind of like twins and like that kind of theme for the game?
mm. Right, right. Well, so the idea of the shadow cells was really the sort of the main thing, and the watchmaker character, the clock in which everything takes place, was already kind of planted there in the base game as, oh, she's a neutral character. There's something on the wall there. It seems ominous, but we don't really know. So the idea was, let's go in there and see what we find. And since it's her creation, it's magic. Also, it's a clockwork miniature world that just felt like an interesting setting, because if you look at the grand journey of Sea of Stars, one thing we made a point to do was kind of like everything is kind of like the equivalent of a snow globe, right? So it's like, okay, we did the jungle, we did the cursed forest, we did the fire mountain, we did the ice cavern, and so all these things should only kind of like happen once and feel really dense. And we felt like in terms of the high fantasy, like we kind of like ticked the boxes that we wanted in terms of the environments and everything. So it's like, oh, let's bring in like a super left field, like completely different theme so that we can now do another wave of all these like self-contained area that are very precise and that feel unique, instead of like, oh, there's one more island here and like it's green instead of yellow or whatever.
Yeah. And now like seeing through like some of our footage and stuff, I see them battling a train. Was Final Fantasy? Do we have some? It looks like we have some Final Fantasy 6 fans on the team. It looks like
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I mean, we're all yeah, yeah, we're all about the retro games, of course, and the train was part of the narrative because it's how you move around, basically the world map movement. Instead of a ship, you have a train in that one in the DLC. So when we set out to, okay, the train left the rails, so we need to beat the evil out of it or whatever, in good classic fashion. So it was like, okay, what's the finisher? And then, yeah, we kind of realized we kind of painted ourselves in the corner here. We have to do it now. So we decided to play the do homage there.
nice, very nice. Um, so what was it like? Because when you get to this DLC, you're, I was playing off like a press branch, so I didn't have my original
Mhm.
save file. But so
Yeah.
like it felt like I was a little bit weaker and such like that. But also, that kind of fits into theme of rediscovering, as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
How did you kind of like decide on going with that kind of like how did you guys come up with the different attacks? Because now it's one becomes like a juggler, the other one
Yeah.
becomes
Mhm.
a gymnast, I believe. What
Mhm.
is Valir becomes it a
Yeah,
gymnast?
like an acrobat, but yeah, it's a
Acrobat,
gymnast
yes,
basically.
yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
How did you guys go about like kind of translating like their powers into that? Because it was very like, sun and moon based, and now it's
Yeah.
very different this time around.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, so it's kind of part of the curse of the curse carnival like circus theme is that you need to add spectacle like circus style to what you do for your magic to be able to manifest. It's kind of like a rule inside of that clock place. And then in terms of our characters, like how do they sort of carry over? Is that one? So Zale, our blade dancer, is more about agility and stuff like that. So kind of like, oh, being just the juggling and everything made sense. And for Valère, she's more about balance, being a monk and everything. So she's more all about, that's why we have the handstand and things like that. She's also more about the raw strength. So everything is to do with like core, you know, um, core strength and things like that. So it kind of played off in a way that how would they apply to something else? Kind of like if you see a Christmas special episode of something, it's like, oh, of the characters that who would be like, oh, the farmer, who would be like that. And so it's kind of like it was this everything became this idea of they just everyone is wearing a costume and how do we exaggerate everything. And the circus theme, we just had so much fun. Like we actually went to a circus school to like learn some moves, and animators were taking notes and getting inspiration for everything. So we really got sort of like immersed in that sort of silly vibe, but we wanted obviously to have the heroic sort of badass undertone to it as well. So we're happy with
That's
the mix. Yeah.
That's very cool. I don't think I've ever heard of a studio, like, going to a circus for, like,
Yeah.
reference material. What was, like, the biggest thing out of, like, the circus that you guys kinda pulled, like, to, like from that just going there to experience it?
I think just touching things and learning how precarious it always feels. Like for me, I can't do heights. That's the thing that I'm like, okay, yeah, I wish I could try this. I'm sure it's safe because everyone here seems to know what they're doing, but I just can't do it. But this sort of, yeah, trying to juggle. We did we tried the like unicycle and stuff like that, and they taught us like how to grab stuff to be able to. We tried to do the flagpole thing. Um, so no, it was just really fun. But I think mostly it was having fun together within that environment. It kind of like grounded something for us where we kind of like shared an experience there, and then we were able to kind of summon that again, right, in production. If we're looking for this new boss, what could be a special move or whatever, it's like we had fun together doing that thing, so we can kind of get in that play state again. So no, it was really fun. And again, we're making this for free, so it's kind of like our only metric is let's have a good time making it, and hopefully that comes across when people play it.
Well, it's no surprise that your fans have obviously like really gravitated towards Sea of Stars over the last 18 months. What's your some of your favorite things that you've seen from the fans? Like have fans sent you some like crazy tattoos, like awesome artwork? Like
Oh
some
yeah.
of your favorite things you've gotten from the fans over the last couple years?
The fan art has been, yeah, we've been blown away by it. We put it up on the wall at the studio, and it's like it's everywhere, and we still have a pile we have yet to get to, but now we're getting a bit more office space, so we'll be able to put more up because oh yeah, and we did see, yeah, we saw some tattoos. We actually heard of a, a kid who's going to be named after a character.
Oh wow.
That's it's kind of wild, because I mean, for I mean, we all work in games on some level to celebrate games because we resonate with them. So when we make
Mhm.
something that resonates, it's kind of like that's ultimately that's what we shoot for, right? So yeah, that is very
Excellent.
special to see for sure.
That's amazing to hear. What is something that, for listeners who might be hearing about the DLC for the first time, outside of like the circus stuff, what's a little rundown of what they might expect like when it comes to like is there like a new like mechanic like obviously Sea of Stars base game had puzzle solving and such. Is there like a
Hmm,
new
hmm.
kind of like layer that you guys have kind of added onto the formula?
Right. The main thing is the way, so leveling up in the main game was like you pick kind of like a bonus stat every time. Now we streamlined leveling up a little bit more because it's a more contained experience, right? So it's you only get 8 levels. So things like unlocking new moves happen sort of through leveling up. There's fewer level. You don't want to level up like 30 times and in like 6 or 7 hours or whatever as you go before the end. Um, Also, we got mini games in there. The town, because we only have the one town, which is like the hub. So you go to in the train, you come back, so you check in, and like the state of it keeps kind of changing and evolving as the story goes. So there's a lot of hidden stuff there. The puzzles are way more intricate. We really pushed sort of the envelope on everything to make everything really more unique. I think one of the best examples is the cutscenes, like the pre-rendered cinematics that we have. We had the same budget for them for 8 hours of content that we had for the entire main story of the game, basically. So it's kind of like just apply the same budget and just make it more dense, essentially. So the entire DLC is like this, basically. Is there's not a single asset that's reused from the main game. We just redid everything, handcrafted everything. We just wanted to do like the best show of quality that we could, because on some level it's like it's kind of like the curtain for we spent 7 years of our lives on this on a daily basis, and so now we're kind of like letting it go. So we wanted the sort of the final
Mm.
thank you to be something complete that we're genuinely proud of and happy with. So
No, it's amazing. Um, so finally, I like to ask all the devs that come on for an interview, what's something I didn't ask about that you want to talk about when it comes to Sea of Stars and or Throes of the Watchmaker?
oh well, we didn't. I guess we didn't talk much about the music, but
Mm,
I think the music is something that kind of like speaks for itself, right?
yeah.
But for me, like our composer Eric is, because we've been working together since even a year prior to founding Sabotage. Like so, it's been 10 years roughly that we worked together. And when we arrived at the circus thing, I was like, obviously I believe in him. I didn't think he'd be like, no, I'm empty. I have no ideas. But I was just like, I hope that he's gonna get this spark of like, oh man, that's so silly. I can't wait to kind of rock this idea. And yeah, I think it's like a lot of other parts of the game, like level design, like the puzzles. I think just the whole audio, even all the way down to like the sound design, is everything is kind of like feels like a big step, kind of like the final seal of quality that we were like really looking for, like shooting to get, because we're so good at making a game by the time we don't have to make it anymore, right? Like a lot of production is like figuring it out as you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now we kind of got to use that full experience and do something as dense and as like focused as possible with a smaller scope. And no, yeah, so that was a blast.
The music, the couple tracks I've heard so far are
Mm,
certified bangers. They're it's very good, just right off the bat. So it's
great.
jumping in and playing the DLC. It reminded me so much of what I loved about this game when I first
Mm.
booted it up back in
Oh,
2023. And so I'm so happy that like you guys are just continuing that high seal of quality with when it comes to Sea of Stars. And then I'll be very excited to see what you guys are cooking up next because, as you said, you're tying up a bow on this one, which means I'm sure
yeah.
there are plans for something else.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
sorry. But Terry, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody out there, Sea of Stars, Throes of the Watchmaker is, by the time this episode's live, it'll be out for you on console and PC. So definitely go check it out. Load up your Sea of Stars save file. It's free LC. It's free, y'all. Go play it and help out the Watchmaker. She could use a hand.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip from Beyond, IGN's weekly PlayStation show. You can find the full episode over on youtube.com/IGN Games. And don't forget, new episodes of Beyond drop every Wednesday on IGN.com, the IGN Games YouTube, and all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching, and as always, Beyond.